Alright, mixed martial arts fans, let's talk a little bit about UFC 137 Penn versus Diaz. Alright, I just want to make this quick. My predictions, my thoughts about what I think is going to happen in the main card. So, Dana White and everyone else with the UFC promotion are now back on track after kind of a slow lull, as it were, in the world of MMA. But, this is quite a good card, even with the absence of GSP and Carlos Condit in the welterweight title fight. So let's jump on into this. In the main event, okay, BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz. It seems that the UFC's welterweight division is running out of credible challengers slowly for guys like John Fitch, BJ Penn, Thiago Alves, and George St. Pierre. So it's nice that they're bringing back the current Strikeforce welterweight champion, Nick Diaz, who has just put together a pretty impressive run of wins, from Frank Shamrock, Scott Smith, Marius Aramskis, Hayato Sakurai, Carl James Nunes, Evangelista Santos, Paul Daly, incredible, and he's finishing most of these guys. The last time someone took him to a decision was, KJ Nunes, back in October of 2010. And, Nick Diaz did his thing back in the UFC a while ago, and he got some good wins over guys like Robbie Lawler, Jeremy Jackson, and Drew Fickett, but he could not deal with big wrestlers that could hold him on the canvas until the clock ran out, like Diego Sanchez, Joe Riggs, Sean Shirk, Carl Parisian. So, it's nice to see him back, and he's going to be taking on former lightweight champion BJ Penn. This fight is kind of difficult right now because I wish that this fight would go 5 rounds, but at the same time, if it went all 5 rounds, the longer this fight goes, the better it is for Nick Diaz because far and away he has the better conditioning. The man runs triathlons. He trash talks to you in your face while he's fighting you. He throws little mosquito bite-like punches, they like to say, whether it's looping body shots, he'll throw high kicks that'll clip you every now and then. He's got an incredible chin, fantastic recovery, and crazy Cesar Gracie black belt jiu-jitsu. But despite all that, and despite BJ Penn's crazy skill set too, I don't see there being a finish in this fight. And I see it going all 3 rounds, and I also see this winning fight of the night. It's going to be probably gross, nasty, technical, exciting, gripping, and, just whatever else, I guess. So, I was originally going to pick BJ Penn to win this because I think that he hits harder and he hits faster, and I think he could do enough damage over the course of 3 rounds. Plus, he's probably a little bit bigger too, but I just think that Nick Diaz is going to find a way to win because lately that's mostly what he's been doing. He's been finding ways to win, no matter what, and he's been looking pretty good doing it. I still don't see him beating, John Fitch or GSP, but I'm going to go with the slight upset here. I'm going to say, at least I think it's an upset. Hold on, let me check this. Okay. Yeah. This could go a draw too, so really I won't be surprised about whoever wins this, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the underdog and pick Nick Diaz to defeat BJ Penn by a very close split decision in a fun fight. Next bout. Alright, Czech Congo versus Matt Mitrione. Honestly, I have never been a fan of Czech Congo because I feel like that, as good as his high-level striking is, and his experience and background, he's never really impressed me that much. He's never fought for the heavyweight title, but in his miraculous come-from-behind amazing knockout victory of Pat Barry in his last fight, he did remind me why the UFC keeps him employed and keeps him working. He'll be taking on Matt Mitrione, Matt Mitrione. Let's talk about him. Matt Mitrione easily could have just gone on to have been that guy that showed up at the UFC, beat Kimbo Slice, the internet sensation, and then went on to do absolutely nothing else, and then faded into obscurity. But so far, he is 5-0 in his mixed martial arts campaign. Defeated, not just destroyed Christian Moorcraft, yeah, but he's cut. Destroyed Tim Hague, he's cut. Beat down Joey Beltran, I don't think he's cut. But yeah, got rid of Kimbo Slice, knocked out one of the worst heavyweights I've ever seen in the form of Marcus Jones. So he's been doing his thing, and he is refreshingly showing attempts that he is improving. He's putting together better combinations with his strikes. His head movement is okay. Still, his takedown defense, it's not there. He can be taken down easily, and I've questioned his cardio and his ground game too. So, that being said, I think Chet Congo is going to give Matt Mitrione his first loss ever. I'm going to pick Congo to win by knockout first round or late second round. Or to take a very one-sided unanimous decision. By the way, I hope Matt Mitrione wins. I'll be rooting for him. Because he seems like, the pinnacle average Joe fighter of the UFC. He just seems like any guy. He's kind of funny. He's got, an on-camera personality and all that stuff. He was a former football player. So, good luck, Mitrione. Next fight, Mirko Cro Cop versus Roy Nelson. Mirko Cro Cop, after getting knocked out brutally by Brendan Schaub and Frank Mir, he should have retired. Roy Nelson has also lost 2 in a row to Junior Dos Santos and Frank Mir. But Roy Nelson, despite his size and his gas tank, he is still a legit heavyweight. And he is still a very heavy hitter, and he's able of doing, something, I think, in the UFC, as long as his cardio is there. This may not be the most prettiest heavyweight fight to watch in UFC history, but I'm going to pick Roy Nelson to win this by TKO round 2, or some type of doctor's stoppage due to maybe cuts or Mirko Cro Cop being unable to see or something like that. But again, I'll be rooting for Cro Cop. I hope he wins. And then, if Cro Cop does win this fight, just hang him up. Hang the gloves up, man. Next fight. Scott Jorgensen versus Jeff Curran. Since his loss to Dominic Cruz, the current champion, Scott Jorgensen, has otherwise looked pretty dang good. He knocked out Ken Stone in his UFC debut. That's a good win. Beat Brad Pickett, Antonio Banuelos, Takeya Miyazaki, and Chad George. Had a nice run in WEC. In this situation, simply being, I think that Jorgensen is the better grappler, the better wrestler, and the bigger fighter, and with much more experience than Jeff Curran. At least I think so. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Jeff Curran's only appearance in the UFC was back when he lost a decision to Matt Serra at UFC 46. Yeah. So Scott Jorgensen should be able to get this by a unanimous decision or TKO round 1. Hatsuhiyuki, the distinguished judoka of Japan, one of the best featherweights there, ranked number 3 featherweight in the world by Sherdog. He's finally making his UFC debut. He's a member of, TriStar Gym and Alive Shoto and Jiu-Jitsu. He's very highly regarded, and he's taking on George Roop, who is one of those win-lose Keith Jardine type of fighters, in which, when George Roop wins, he looks pretty dang good, like his knockout victory over Chan Sung Young. But when he loses, he looks pretty bad. So in this situation, I keep picking against George Roop, and again, I'm afraid I'm going to have to do it, so I'm going to pick Hatsuhiyuki to defeat George Roop in his debut, Hioki's debut, by either submission round 1 or a unanimous decision victory. But if there wasn't an underdog to bet on winning, it would be George Roop. There you go. Then the rest of the card, I'm going to make this quick, like I always do. I'm going to pick Donald Cerrone to end Dennis Seaver's winning streak. I'm gonna pick yeah, get it done, cowboy. Bang. I'm gonna pick Bart Palaswetsky. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. To defeat Tyson Griffin by unanimous decision. I'm gonna pick Ramsey Ninjim to defeat Danny Downs, Chris Camozzi to defeat Francis Caramont, Clifford Starks to defeat Dustin Jacoby. Jacoby, alright, 10 minutes, good. And Brandon Vera. Brandon Vera, you have been given. You were once touted as this great up-and-coming heavyweight prospect at a time when the UFC heavyweight division was not that great. And now you were cut, you were brought back, you've been given a second chance now. Please don't squander it. Do your thing, man. So I'm going to pick Brandon Vera to defeat Elliot Marshall by TKO during any of the rounds. So there you go. And that's what I think is going to go down. Penn versus Diaz. Check it out. Prelims on Spike. Main card at Buffalo Wild Wings or on pay-per-view. That's how it goes. This is Slugfest Wizard signing off.